I'm gonna give you some fighter names that were on their, just based on their performance and what they did at FPI 6. You tell me, do you feel like their stock went up or do you feel like their stock went down? All right, you ready?
Okay.
Put you on the spot.
Ready. Okay.
TJ's sitting in the back. He's our young Jamie for the show. TJ, you feel free to chime in if you got a hot take on stock up or stock down here.
Got it.
Okay. Raquel Canuto.
Up.
Definitely. Okay. Where's who I want next? Jonathan Alves.
Down.
See, do you feel like that's kind of controversial though? Because
Yes,
he's so highly rated, like he's so good. But
yeah,
you feel
but
like
then he lost to a purple belt, like it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you good. It's controversial because he lost to a purple belt and he put on a good match. But if I have to answer fast, I would say down.
Okay.
Let me say something on that, because I agree with you, Claudia. The idea of losing to a purple belt, it does lower the stock. But if this is the market, I'm buying, because we live in a society now, in a system where a purple belt and a blue belt, etc., it doesn't mean what it used to mean. Like, going back to previous FPIs, Daniel Monasoyu was a blue belt, destroying everybody. It doesn't hold the same sort of weight these days as it used to. I think losing to a purple belt when you're a higher rank, it's not 1999. I would buy that stock. Yes, it goes down, Claudia, but I'm looking to make money, so I'm buying that downward trending stock.
Okay, good point.
That's how I feel. That's kind of how I feel, because like J-Rod is like more popular than Alves. You know what I mean? And so I feel like a lot of people kind of just saw Alves for the first time. Obviously.
Okay, I got. It makes sense, I got my emotions involved here in the stock, so that's what happened when you put your
You can't play the
emotions.
stock market with your emotions. Okay. Okay.
Right?
Okay. Pedro Mourinho.
Okay. Down.
Yeah, you feel like the loss to Mason, even though I feel like Mourinho really, he played a great game. Like, he had a really good showing, but it was a loss.
Mason was just a killer in there, a killer. But Mourinho came in as a champion, with all this expectation of beating Mason, and and I saw so much resilience in Mason on that match, because Mourinho was he was exploding out of everything, and Mason kept the pace the whole time, and I feel like Mourinho's stock went down, and I wouldn't buy.
Ooh, Nikki Rod.
Up. I actually thought that he was gonna give Jimenez a more competitive match. It was competitive, but I thought Jimenez got a little tired. He got a little tired and wasn't really fighting like he does. And then Nico was able to capitalize on that and beat Jimenez in a fashion way. So
What about you,
stock
TJ?
went up.
What about you, TJ? Nikki Rod, and let's talk Jimenez too. Nikki Rod, Jimenez, stock up, stock down.
Here's the thing. Those guys are so talented that even if the stock goes down, that's just a bad day at the market. It's not a trend by any means. So, I would say stock up. Stock up definitely for Nikki Rod. There's a lot of intriguing value there. If there's any stock down in Jimenez, again, I'm buying.
I'm
That
buying.
one I'm buying too.
I'm buying Jimenez because he's so undersized compared to Nikki Rod. So for me, I felt like Nikki Rod was gonna be more dominant than he was. So I'm going to say Nikki Rod stock down a little bit.
Let me say that
Jimenez
if it went
stock
down, BMAC, it went down by pennies. You know what I mean? It
up.
definitely didn't go
Well, keep
up like
going.
people thought, but I mean, it's up or down, right? We don't have like a flat line. I feel like Nikki might have had a flat line, but there's still so much, intrigue in him moving forward and potential matches. You mentioned the Mason Fowler match. Like, take my money. I really want to see that. But yeah.
Lavado.
Down.
Ooh, I was actually surprised with that quick finish.
I was
very
stunned.
surprised.
I actually picked Lavado to win the match. I thought Craig was going to come in not taking it very seriously, a little bit out of shape. And I actually thought that if Lavado could drag him out a little bit, he could get him tired and beat him. But it did not play out that way at all.
No,
So
not at all.
I got Lavado stock down. Craig
Yeah,
stock up. I felt like that was an incredible performance.
I agree.
Okay, here's one. Shane Shapiro.
Oh wow, definitely up.
Way
I wasn't
up.
expecting that. Yeah, way up.
He
Dana
was the
asked me like,
the whole thing for me.
yeah, for sure. He was very dominant. Dana asked me who was gonna win the match, and I didn't pick him. And then he won in a fashion way. So
I think most of us that are like prognosticating on this kind of stuff, I think most of us felt like Ben Eddy was going to win that.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, B-Mac. I mean,
blowout.
we have a ton of experience, calling Ben Eddy's matches. You obviously have a closer experience being in that, 10-planet system. That wasn't really emblematic of what you should expect from Ben Eddy. So how far, in your mind, does Ben Eddy's stock fall?
That's a pretty big drop. I mean, I'm a huge Ben Eddy fan. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. But I thought that was pretty eye-opening. I feel like Shapiro really showed a route to beat Ben. And Ben, if he can't get to that overhook and get into his rubber guard, closed guard systems, Shapiro shut him down. He shut him down all across the board, all the way throughout the entire match. So I felt like Shapiro was the biggest. His stock went up the most of anybody on the whole event because I felt like that was a big win for him. And I think he's 3-0 now on FPI. Is that right?
Something like that.
Dude, that dude's showing out. I mean, I feel like, I know we talk so much about these absolutes and these heavyweights, but I feel like we got to see more of Shane Shapiro, dude.
And the thing, too, about Ben Eddy, if people don't understand maybe who he is, or maybe they're not the hardest core jiu-jitsu fans, like, if you're an MMA fan, you know who Wilson Hayes is. Wilson, former UFC title challenger, phenomenal MMA fighter, very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. Ben Eddy got him out of there by submission in a combat jiu-jitsu match, and, like, that opened my eyes up to Ben Eddy. And I've been high on Ben Eddy ever since. We saw what he did a little over a year ago in that team duel. Like, Ben's good. Ben's great, but you're right, BMAC. If you can sort of shut down his unorthodox game, it can be a tough night for him. And Shane did a great job.
Yeah, I think that was eye-opening for Ben. I think we'll see Ben grow from that match. Definitely. And I saw him post after the fact like that he was very unhappy with his performance. He was super disappointed, and I think that he's going to grow from that. I think that's going to make him a much better jiu-jitsu practitioner moving forward. But
and I will say this real quick about that too, Claudia. You know this better than anyone, being on the MMA stage. Like, when you look at prize fighting and mostly boxing, a loss is devastating to one's career. But in MMA, and I think in jiu-jitsu even more so, with the fact that you don't necessarily have a record in jiu-jitsu that gets announced before every single match like you do in MMA. But the old saying, you either win or you learn. You learn in all situations, win or loss, but I do feel like Ben Eddy alluded to on social media, Claudia, you can definitely learn and become infinitely better from having a few nights where you get humbled on the mat.
So definitely, Ben Eddy went back home now after that loss, and I'm sure he's going to grow from it.